they're working on the principal selection committee stuff. So I'll start with the admin update. I talked to Mr. Snow today, and he said he wanted me to share with everyone that Milestones is coming up. They are offering Milestones to all students this year, even virtual students. And the admin team is going to be calling all of the virtual families to ask them what they would like to do about that. Whether you do want your child to come in to take the test, which, you know, even if you're virtual, you would have to come into the building to take the test, or if you would like to opt out of the test. So those are the choices for the families, and he wanted me to go ahead and pass that along. Milestones starts on April 19th. So they are going to be coming up, and they'll be reaching out to parents then as well. And I believe you can also just email Mr. Snow and let him know if you already know what you want to do about that. Carrie, you're nodding your head. Do you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that all families, like, it is a family by family decision, and all families have the option for their kid not to take the test. So it's not just virtual families that can make that decision, but you just have to talk to Mr. Snow about it. I just wanted to mention that.
Okay, thank you. The other thing was an LSGT update from Lee, and then Aaron, I would love for you to update about LSGT elections as well. The reason they're not here is because they're having an executive section for selecting a new principal for Chase. And they will be interviewing principal candidates next week. So that's where they are in the process. That's been the LSGT, and then the committee is part of that. And then Aaron, I would love for you to tell us about LSGT elections if you'd like to.
Sure, and we are in some kiddo dinner post soccer, so if there's noise, that's what's up.
Okay.
Hey, buddy, mom's talking right now. You can see. Okay, Kathy, he really wants to see you. So
hi. Hey, Amos.
Really see me though.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't. I'll imagine what you look like.
Very quickly, we'll show. There we go.
Hi, Amos. How are you?
You're in the library. You're in the fake library.
You look so big.
Okay, buddy, go eat your dinner.
If you put it on the real background, they would see how.
Yep, they would. They would see how big you are. So just real quickly, elections were moved back. That we wanted to give schools a little bit more time to recruit for potential new members. So things have moved back. Elections were going to take place the week leading into spring break, and now they are which is next week. Now we'll be sort of finalizing the ballots next week, and then elections will take place between April 14th and April 21st. We're not going to do them the Monday we come back from spring break because people will be in post spring break brain. So they'll start that Wednesday through the following Wednesday, and they'll run. They're going to be through something called Election Runner. They're all online. So just keeping that in mind, just encourage people around you to vote. Everybody who has a child in the school is eligible to vote for the parent/guardian seats and the community member seats, and all teachers and staff will vote for our teacher staff candidates. So, and that stuff. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask. So all the people, if people who wanted to run, that window is closed, right? They have all the candidates already, correct?
So we had our final info session last night. If there's someone who is still and I even shared, I still had some people emailing me today. We recorded the session because we want to give, if there's times we had people, one session happened, we planned it before the COVID vaccines and it was the same day. And so we're trying to be very considerate of that. If there's someone who still is very interested, candidates can apply through Friday, but they need to reach out to me, and then I will share our recording so that they can watch the Zoom and the information that they need to apply.
Okay, great. And I actually had Josh on the agenda next to talk about the foundation.
Sure.
So I don't know if he's there.
There's his arm.
Hi, Josh.
Hey, y'all.
You guys are cracking me up today.
We're just swapping shifts here. So I sit on the Foundation for Excellence in Public Education in Athens, Clark County, or in Clark County. And I was just wanted to give folks a heads up that the nomination for awards will open in 6 days, I think. I'll share that out with you all, but I just wanted to remind folks that this is a great way to recognize teachers that have made an impact on your child, or administrators. There's a variety of service. There's a service-based award, the Stroud Award, the Downs. So for, if there's a bus driver that's made an impact, or somebody that works in the lunchroom or whatnot. So those are different ways that we can recognize all the different folks in our school. And I'll send a formal announcement y'all's way so that you can share that out through your channels. But I wanted to catch y'all's ears while I was here. So we're also going to be looking for judges for the awards. Probably seems a little bit of a conflict of interest to talk about nominations and judges in the same breath, but I will include on that if there are individuals that might be interested in serving as a judge. We would love to have folks' participation. We have over 100 nominations every year, so we need lots of judges to review all the applicants and the nominees. So that's all I got. Thanks.
It's fun being a judge, and I wasn't paid to say that. I actually judged before I even knew this guy many years ago. But if you like to read about awesome things people are doing in the district, and you may even end up reading for a different school. In fact, you probably might.
Awesome.
Amos is going to read. He's working on it. So, all right, y'all.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I know it's awesome to recognize all the work everybody's been doing, especially this crazy year. So, thank you.
Kathy, you're muted.
Sorry. The only other two things I wanted to say before I turn it over to Lori Karr, who is our speaker tonight from the Cottage. There's two sort of ongoing things that you can do as a parent to volunteer. We have our teacher wish list, which is on Amazon. And Carrie, if you'll throw that link up there in the chat so it's there. And then we also have sort of a weekly treat for the teachers. You can sign up to and that's literally just dropping snacks off at school or dropping seltzer water off at school or something like that. And they have an ongoing list where you can just sign up for something and bring it. So the teachers have a little treat each week now that they're back in person. So those are two ongoing volunteer opportunities that don't involve anything but just, donating something or sending something if that's something that you're able to do. So we'll put those links in the chat, the sign up for that, and then also the Amazon wish list. Okay, so
did you want to mention the teacher grant, Kathy?
Oh, sure. The other thing that I was going to share is that we were very excited to have one of our teachers apply for a grant, and the grant was approved, and one of our second grade teachers is going to be doing a virtual field trip to Zoo Atlanta with her students. So we're very excited about that and can't wait to hear about it. Okay. So tonight we have Lori Karr, who is a Chase parent, and she also works at the Cottage, and she's going to be talking to us tonight about how to keep your kids safe while they're on the internet. So Lori, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm going to share my screen. All right. So yeah, my name's Lori Karr, and I am a Chase Street parent of a 4th grader, and I also work for the Cottage Sexual Assault Center and Children's Advocacy Center here in Athens. I've been there about almost 12 years. During my time at the Cottage, I have worn many hats. I've been a forensic interviewer, a family advocate, and currently I'm the Victim Assistance Program counselor and outreach and prevention coordinator. And basically that means that I provide trauma-informed therapy to any of our child clients who have any type of allegation of abuse, and that could be sexual abuse, physical abuse, witnessing domestic violence, or any violent crime. All of our services are free, including counseling, and I also do lots of prevention education in the community like tonight. And tonight we're going to talk about internet safety. So technology is amazing. It's really bridged the gap during the pandemic, as you guys know. But with that comes lots of vulnerability, especially with children. So hopefully tonight, my goal is to either remind you guys of some tips and safety tips that you can utilize to keep your kids less vulnerable on the internet, and maybe learn some new things. And more so than anything, I hope it empowers you to feel confident to talk to your kids about internet safety, body safety, and secrets. So just talking to our kids and to other grownups about what we know is the way to end child abuse, basically, or at least not end it, but lessen it some. So we're going to watch this little video real quick. It's just a couple minutes, and then talk about safety tips.
It wasn't a daydream, it wasn't a feeling, never thought one day in my head. I wanted to grab it, I wanted to be it, I wanted to write a song instead. 'Cause when I see my reflection, I wanna say I gave it all. Electric and effects to come alive. I like my guitar when it's amplified. Connections and the lights are in my eyes. I like my guitar when it's amplified. Amplified. It doesn't matter. What would you rather? Can't brag about. You never even tried. And nothing is worthless. You don't need forgiveness. Everybody's felt the lows and highs. 'Cause when I see my reflection.
Hey Emily, you ready for school?
So during my time at the cottage, I have worked with lots of kids, and unfortunately, there is no discrimination when it comes to child exploitation. And at the cottage, we serve about 300 kids where we provide a forensic interview, which is an opportunity for somebody who's specially trained to talk to a child when there's any type of allegation of abuse. So we do about 300 of those a year here for just Clark County. And about 50 of those are disclosures of some type of internet crime. And unfortunately, most of those disclosures they come about, but not because of a concern of an internet crime or a type of exploitation. It's for some other type of allegation of abuse. We also believe that that's a super low number, and that a lot are actually, they don't always come up on our radar. So I think it's so important that we talk about ways to keep our kids safe, because they're so easily manipulated when it comes to the internet, just kind of like on that video that we just watched. So some safety tips, educating your children about internet safety. So talking to children about the appropriate use on the internet, what is appropriate, what is inappropriate, and being very specific. Discussing the consequences of sexting, cyberbullying, and sextortion. I'm going to talk about all of those topics later. educate children about body safety, secrets, healthy relationships, and identifying support people. It's so important that when we talk to kids at a very young age, starting at age 2, about places on the body that it's not okay to touch. Talking about safe secrets versus unsafe secret and what that means. So like a safe secret means a secret that's okay to keep because it's going to make you feeling good inside and happy and everyone else happy. But an unsafe secret is something that's going to give you that uh-oh feeling, or you might have a fear of getting in trouble, or someone being mad. So those are always secrets that we always need to tell a trusted adult. And it's always important to identify support people outside of people in your home. So not just mom and dad, but maybe grandma, a teacher, a coach, somebody at church, or whoever it is that's in your circle. Because a lot of times what I have found over the years that kids, even kids that whose parents talk to them, are more likely to disclose to another support person in their life than their parent. And the reason for that is just because, kids worry about their parents' feelings. They worry about how it's going to affect the family. So identifying support people outside of mom and dad is so important. Tell children, explain to them the importance of not sharing personal information. So like personal information, like identifying information, where you go to school, what sports you play and where you're playing. Older kids, that are checking in and things like that. It's very, it can be very dangerous, but also the importance of not sharing passwords and usernames and things like that. I hear that a lot with my 6th graders. Their friends, they like to share usernames and passwords. And then one week they're not friends again. And then it can turn into a cyberbullying thing, and it can just be a big mess. It can also using their username on a certain app or something and pretending to be them, and then committing a crime of some kind too. Tell children the importance of, or discussing and talking to children the importance of not chatting with someone they don't know. So just because their friend Johnny is friends with someone doesn't mean that they should be friends with them. And I think it's really important, especially with their young kids, elementary age, to know who our kids are friends with, and approving who they can be friends with, approving what apps they're allowed to be on, and monitoring those apps as well. It's always important to set all accounts on private and explaining to kids the purpose of that. So each app, it should be set on private. Also, the importance of not posting pictures of themselves or sending or downloading pictures or videos to someone they don't know. So if somebody jumps in the chat or a direct message through whatever Snapchat or whatever app that they're on, whether it's a game system, if somebody's wanting to chat, discuss the vulnerability of why we don't talk to strangers, even if it's somebody that maybe one of our friends knows. It's also very important to not respond to inappropriate or sexually explicit messages, or if you see a picture or a video, and the importance of telling a trusted adult if that does happen. It's also important to turn off the GPS and the location on all apps, because people with wrong intentions can utilize that for a crime. It's also important to establish rules for the internet, so setting time limits, using devices in communal living spaces and never behind closed doors, know the username and password for apps that your child use, and also discuss consequences of inappropriate use of the internet and being consistent. So I always get the question from lots of parents, when is a good time to give my child the independence and the autonomy to utilize their device in a more private manner? I truly believe there's not an age. We all know our children. We know their temperaments, their personalities, and so it's kind of like an individual choice of when you make that decision to give them more privacy when it comes to that. I do think it's important that with elementary age children, especially, that it be supervised, and that all devices should be used in communal living spaces, especially game systems. That's something that we see a lot at the cottage, where kids are being exploited, is during the chat in gaming. So that's something comes up a lot too, that question, like, well, should my child chat with people and their friends on game systems? I used to be very strict about that, but when the pandemic hit, that was one of the only ways my child got to socialize with certain folks. So we have very strict rules in our household about that. And So we do allow it, but it's in the living room where the game system is, and he's allowed to play with the friends that I know and the parents that I know and trust, and kind of have the same values and things like that. And one of us always has to be in the room with them. Luckily, our house is small and open, so we're able to do that pretty easily and get stuff done. But that is, one of the rules. And if it gets broken, then there's a consequence. You lose, your screen time or your gaming time or whatever that is. It's important to inquire about rules for internet use when kids are visiting other friends or family too, because that's another vulnerability. So just like we would have the conversation about guns, if you have guns in the home, that's a question that, parents ask. I think it's very important that we ask that about the rules around gaming too. Specific about what's the supervision rules, what games are they allowed to play? Are there older children in the home? As you know, older children can be very influential and maybe playing other games that are more inappropriate. So just kind of knowing everything, and so you can make a good decision on what's a good fit. And also other adults, knowing if there's other adults visiting and things like that. Just again, to have these conversations is important, give you peace of mind, but also to know that you are educated and well aware of ways to keep your child safe, and you might be teaching them something too. It can be awkward at times, but when you have those conversations, I feel like it becomes easier the more you have them. It's also very important to monitor your child's internet use, checking emails, direct messages, photos, and apps frequently. You can download different monitoring apps so that you can monitor use, and you can customize certain apps and things like that too. The monitoring apps that I love Bark. I think Bark is a great one. It's fairly reasonably priced. They have different levels. I feel like they have one that's like $6 a month, and then it goes up. But you're able to monitor emails, texts, direct messages, YouTubes, and other apps. And that they do this wonderful thing too, where they have like a support group for parents, where they do lots of education. They also send alerts. So if a parent, if they see something and there's a concern for suicide ideation or online predator or cyberbullying, they'll actually send the parent a notice, but also a conversation of like, this is how you have the conversation with your child. So it kind of helps you give the words and educate you how to have this conversation in a healthy way with your child. Circle, which is from Disney, and I can never know how to say this one. I think it's Custodio, I think how you say it. Those are all great apps, and they have some free options as well. I know that Verizon and Google and T-Mobile have some different parental apps as well. So when talking to kids about internet safety and body safety, it's important to kind of know what's developmentally appropriate for their sexual knowledge at different stages of development. So infancy to 0 to 2, they explore their own genitals, no inhibitions about anything, about nudity. They're just kind of all wide open. Toddlers, they may touch themselves to self-soothe, like rubbing, explore genitals, and with consenting peers. Again, no inhibitions about nudity, and very curious about adult bodies. Middle childhood, which is 5 to 9, they may touch themselves to self-soothe in private. So they do know the difference of that's okay to do in private, and may explore genitals with consenting peers in an exploratory manner, which is normal. But they are more modest about nudity, and they also may be curious about naked bodies and seek out different things off the internet. So this age, they're so vulnerable to internet vulnerability in any way, because they're easily manipulated at this age and easily coerced. So it's so important to really supervise children between 5 and 9. Pre-adolescent and teens, they're also curious about sex and relationships and have more gained knowledge and sexual awareness. They have increased experimentation with peers with romantic relationships, and more likely to seek out sexual information on TV, internet, and movies. So again, this is another vulnerable age, but you would obviously talk to them at a higher level of knowing. I think the average age of starting to talk to kids about sex and how babies are made is 8. That's what pediatricians recommend, and sometimes even earlier if they have older siblings in the home. So it's important to talk to kids and give them the correct information than what they're learning from their peers, which might not be correct. This is a great video from Maggie Dent. I love her. She has a YouTube channel, and I share a lot of her videos with parents. So we're gonna watch this quick video.
Hello and welcome to this month's Maggie Moment. You know that the parenting landscape has changed over the last 20 years, and that every single parent, I believe, wants their children to grow up to be happy, healthy, strong, kind, and resilient. Well, one of the areas that you are going to need to change compared to parents of 20 and 30 years ago is your understanding of teaching your children about body safety. Body safety is how we explore what is mine and what other people have permission to touch. Why is this now something you need to focus on a lot more than previous generations? It is because of the saturation of online porn that's accessible to children easily. And at different times, something really quite sad has come across through my channels, whether it's emails or otherwise, of children who have seen things, sometimes accidentally, sometimes without any malice from another sibling or a child down the road. And it's caused great distress. So we need our children to know about the human body. We need to know about nakedness. We need to know about what's appropriate for young children to explore. And we know that there are natural sexual exploration of young children that is considered completely natural and normal. And let me show you mine and you can show me yours kind of thing. That is actually quite normal and healthy. But there are new statistics out that are showing that young children are doing much more than that. And they are actually engaged in copying images that they've seen online. Now, I don't want to alarm you to make you think the world's a horrible, ghastly place, but I always believe in prevention is much better than trying to cure something later on down the track. So even when your children are under 3 and 4, I want you to talk to them at bath time about their body and about their private parts and which parts are theirs that nobody should be able to touch, even grown-ups, without their permission, because it's an incredibly important message to get across that that is something that they have the right to say yes or no. We need to also tell them that touching other people's private parts, including other children's, is really not okay. So once again, there are some fantastic picture books that are going to help you do that, because seriously, it's a squirmy subject and we don't want to mess it up, do we? We don't want to frighten our children, and we don't want to let them feel that their innocence is being shattered. We need to take prevention, and we need to do it now, and we need to start early. And there are some fantastic picture books that you can find on my Common Concerns page that will help you with the right language. And remember, start early, keep encouraging during their primary school years, and you may need to revisit it a bit in a slightly different context when they're teenagers. Our children need to know their body is theirs, not to be touched or violated by any other person without their permission, and that they never, ever should keep secrets about things that make them feel really uncomfortable. And at the same time, let them know that naked bodies are healthy and normal within our private domains of our home and our family. And I think we can make a really big impact into reducing the statistics that are showing the damage of young children sexually playing with other children in inappropriate ways because of things they've seen that I wish they never had to see. And that's all for this week.
So just like Maggie Dent said, just talking to kids at a very early age about body safety and secrets and internet safety. And there are amazing books out there. There's tons of great videos on YouTube too, and there's some great websites. I'm going to share some of those resources at the end, some of my favorites that I like to use. Books are great. That there's so many great books out for parents that make it easy to talk to children about uncomfortable subjects. Even I do this all day long with kids, but even in the beginning when talking to my own child, it was awkward and weird. It's different when it's your own child. But the earlier you start and the more that you have these conversations, it just becomes normal, you know? So when kids are older and more vulnerable to more serious things happen to them, like consensual sex and things like that, it'll be a lot easier for them to come to you and to have these awkward conversations and feel more comfortable. when I just think it's like, okay, this is something I can talk to mom and dad about. So what is sexting? So sexting is sending someone sexually explicit messages, photos, or videos. It becomes a crime when any private part of a minor are shown, or even if it's a sexually explicit message, that is actually a crime as well. For children engaging in sexting, it can cause stress, anxiety, depression, issues with sleeping, lack of appetite, increased appetite, or desire to self-harm. So self-harm in young children looks a little different than older children. It could be like pulling their eyelashes, picking at scabs, pulling their hair out, or their eyebrows, things like that. People with access to those messages can use them to bully, manipulate, and extort their victims as well. So what I see a lot with children who are older, I would say like the 6th grade level, it's a lot of peers sexting each other, but then kind of using the images and the messages to kind of bully them when they are upset with them. So they're sharing it with the rest of the school or on social media and things like that. And that just becomes a whole mess. But I do see it in young kids too, like older kids, 10 and 11, asking for inappropriate pictures and videos to very young children. I think one of the youngest kids I had was 4 at the time. So consequences of sexting. The reason why I kind of like to cover this is because the laws haven't really been changed since the 80s when it comes to sexual exploitation. So a person who creates, distributes, or possesses a sexually explicit image could be charged with a misdemeanor or a felony, depending on the facts and circumstances. So the reason why I like to bring that up is because we see so many kids committing these crimes, and they think it's kind of funny that, you know, they're sharing this video with their friends or this picture with their friends. And they're actually, it's considered child pornography, and they could get in trouble. Now here in Clark County, our detectives are super educated and I would not necessarily charge another child for something like that. They would more likely want to get them support and help and therapy to try to curb that behavior. However, I have seen in some surrounding counties where kids were actually have been arrested as young as 10 and sent to juvenile confinement for that. So it's just something to be aware of. You can be charged with child pornography even if it's not your photo too. So if you're sharing a photo that someone else shared, just being in possession of that. The highest prosecution for child pornography is 20 years in prison, and the perpetrator's name can appear on the Georgia sex offender registry for 15 years. So this is a little video about 3 things. I like this guy a lot. Again, he's someone I share a lot of videos with parents. It's a great few-minute video that talks about 3 things to be aware of when talking to kids. This is another great video that you can actually share with kids. So he's pretty much talking to kids. So this is something you could share with your own children.
Hey, this is Dr. Steve Silvestro from the Child Repair Guide. Today's kids and teens are online, whether it is a computer at home, a tablet, or their own phone. And while we can debate the right age at which we should give kids access to the internet or their own device, and we can talk about the possible health effects of being online and using social media at a young age, what matters most is that we learn how to help our kids be safe online. And for many parents, this is a challenge. It can be difficult to try to think of a concise, memorable message that we can teach our kids so that they can be safe when they're on their phones and devices. And that's why I have 3 things for your kids and teens to remember and 2 very simple rules to follow that will keep them safe when they're online. You can use these 3 things and 2 rules to talk to your kids, or you can bring them and show them this video right now. Now, the first thing for your kids and teens to remember is that you can never be 100% certain who is seeing what you are sending. Obviously, you can't be sure if your friend's account has been hacked, but also you don't know if maybe they have lost their phone, or that they have even just left their phone out in the open, and somebody else is seeing the message or the picture that you are sending pop up on your friend's lock screen. The second thing to remember is that, unfortunately, sometimes friends aren't as good friends as we'd like and hope. And that friend that you are sending something to may be sharing that picture or that text or that message with somebody else, or may even be somebody else that you know who also isn't as good of a friend as you'd like, looking over your friend's shoulder and maybe be laughing at what you are sending. Finally, the third thing is that everything online lives forever. Even something like Snapchat, which is supposed to disappear, can potentially live forever. I can take a screenshot of what you send me in a snap, and you may get a message telling you that I got that screenshot, but I still have the picture of whatever you sent to me. Obviously, we're finding out with athletes and celebrities and politicians that tweets and messages and posts from many years ago can come back to haunt you. So you need to know that everything you ever send online can live forever. Now, the simple 2 rules to follow, because you don't know who may be seeing your message, you may not have a friend who's as good of a friend as you'd like, and because whatever you send can live forever, the 2 simple rules to follow are: first, never ever send anything that you don't want your parents, your grandparents, or your grandkids to see. And the second rule is to never ask somebody else to send you something that you know they probably wouldn't want their parents, their grandparents, or their future grandkids to see. So once again, 3 simple things to remember. You can never be 100% certain who is seeing the message or the picture that you are sending, even if you are sending it to your friend's phone or your friend's account. Friends aren't always as trustworthy and as good of friends as we would like, and they may be using what you send to send to other people. Finally, everything you ever send online lives forever, even if you get the impression that it should disappear on its own. And those very 2 simple rules: never send anything you don't want your parents, your grandparents, or your future grandkids to see. And never ask somebody else to ever send you something that you know they wouldn't want their parents, grandparents, and their future grandkids to see. If your kids and teens can follow these 2 simple rules and remember those 3 points, then you can be assured that they will be safe when they are on their phones and online. For more great parenting tips, subscribe to my channel on YouTube. If you are on Facebook right now, like this message and like Dr. Steve Silvestro and the child.
We're also going to talk a little bit about sextortion today. Sextortion is a term that employs non-physical forms of coercion to extort sexual favors from a victim. So sextortion refers to the broad category of sexual exploitation, which is an abuse of power in a means of coercion. Sextortion is a serious crime that occurs when when someone is threatened to distribute private or sensitive material if you don't provide them with images in a sexual nature or sexual favors or money. A lot of these requests are targeted through social media or direct messenger app or text messages. And what we have seen a lot is through video game chat systems. So this sextortion is something that we're starting to see here in Clark County a lot more often. I've had kids as young as 8 and as old as 15 that have been victims of sextortion. So how does sextortion happen? So the perpetrator is going to build rapport and trust with that child, try to find some type of common ground. Usually perpetrators, when it comes to sextortion, are super savvy when it comes to computers. So they're doing their homework, they're doing their research, and they're targeting certain kids by gathering as much information as they can by searching them on the internet and all their platforms and what they're playing and using. They create a bond and flattery and praise, so they're building that kind of adult relationship with the child. They sometimes misrepresent themselves, pretend to be a business, a modeling agency, or another child. They secretly record children during the video chats and use multiple accounts and identities to obtain information. They pretend to be younger than they are, and sometimes they pretend to be a different gender. Perpetrators also hack the child's computer to gain access to files, webcams, and microphones. So the client that I worked with recently, there was multiple children involved, and they were playing a game through the Xbox, and the perpetrator became friends with them by just being friends during the game, and then started to start a conversation and build this rapport with them, and then hacked into their computer and were able to find I guess some pictures that they had on the pictures, and they're able to they were able to hack into the webcam too, and find them like dressing and things like that, and kind of use that as blackmail, and said that they were gonna share it with their parents and other people, and these kids, you know, just didn't have enough courage to say something, and it went on for months, and it really was upsetting and traumatizing to them. Luckily, the person was caught in this case, and they were out of the country too, but it did happen here in Clark County. So who are the victims of sextortion? 78% of sextortion cases involve female children. The average age is 15. However, their age range is from 8 to 17. 1 out of 4 cases are multi-victim, meaning that there's multiple children and targeted involved. In the cases that I've worked on, there were multiple children involved. Here's a little video to kind of talk about sextortion. This is another great video that you can share with the children in your lives to kind of start the conversation too.
Okay, so you did a thing. You sent a picture of yourself with no clothes on. Something you thought wouldn't be shared. And in a polite society, cats wear clothes, right? Anyway, it seemed like a good idea at the time, but now things have gone wrong, terribly wrong. Maybe you shared the picture with someone you loved and trusted, but after a while, things weren't so friendly. Or they said they'd help you become a star, but they just wanted to use you. Or maybe you met someone online and they really seemed to understand you, but then it got weird, and it turned out to be someone totally different. Now the person you shared the pic with is demanding more and threatening to tell. That's sextortion. Yep, that's a thing. The perpetrator relies on you feeling ashamed and keeping quiet. But they are the ones who should be ashamed. What they are doing is wrong, and it's never too late to find your voice to ask for help, or too early to reach out to your friends to tell them you'll be there no matter what. In fact, you can stop sextortion before it starts by talking about it now. With support, you can do anything, and you can focus on the important business of being cats. So tell your closest friends today you've got their back no matter what.
So sometimes, you know, after I have these conversations, people are like, what, I'm gonna lock my kid in the basement. We're not gonna let them do anything. And, you know, it is kind of scary when you hear these alarming things, but unfortunately in my world, it happens almost every day. It happens every day. But I chose to do this work. But I do think it's so important that if we just talk about the reality of the world with kids and just be honest with them in an age appropriate way, because we don't want to scare them, but we want to educate them and give them the tools available to them to help support them and to be less vulnerable, and to talk to the other grownups in our lives, you know, about what we know. And the more we talk about this, and I think that's the way that we prevent things like this happening. And always checking in with our kids. And you know, it takes a village to raise kids, right? So like leaning on all the people in our lives that help us guide us through this. So hopefully you guys have gained some information or some tools, or reminded you of some things that maybe you forgot, and feel somewhat empowered to have these conversations again or for the first time with your kids. If you have any questions, you can always call the Cottage hotline. We have a 24-hour hotline, and we'd be happy to answer any of your questions or give you any resources. I do have some time for some questions, and I do have lots of resources. I'll go over the resources real quick before we go through questions. NetSmart is a great resource for parents and for children. They have a kids and a teen page, and they have videos and games, all kinds of great things to kind of educate kids specific on internet safety. Darkness to Light is a great resource for parents if you want additional information about how to talk to your kids about internet safety, about healthy boundaries, about consent, about ways, how to talk to kids about child sexual abuse. And then these are the books that I really enjoy to share with clients and kids all the time. I read a lot of these books to the kids that I work with and share them with parents. So The Digital World, How to Connect, Share, Play, and Keep Yourself Safe by Carrie Anton. It's actually put out by American Girl. It's a great book. This is a book that kids could read on their own. So this is targeted to girls specifically. But then there's The Ultimate Guide to Social Media Safety for Kids by Gworn Whitebear. And this is a great book for all children, any gender. And it's broken up into small chapters and things like that. So it's great. It has some questions to kind of get kids to start thinking about things and how to keep themselves safe. And then there's other books just about how to, to identify what are safe secrets versus unsafe secret. Do You Have a Secret by Jennifer Moore Malinos, and No Means No by Janine Sanders. That's a great body safety book to start reading to kids at a very young age, as young as 2, but it's great for elementary as well. I Said No, A Kid's Guide to Keeping Private Parts Private by Zach and Kimberly King. That's another great book, and that's again for young as up to age 11 or 12. And then Miles is the Boss of His Body by Samantha Kurtzman Counter and Abby Schiller. Do you guys have any questions for me or comments, anything?
Lori, do you mind if we send out those resources over email, like to on the PTO listserv? Because this is great. This is awesome information. So I would love to share it with people who maybe couldn't attend the meeting.
Absolutely. No problem at all. You can even put my name and my work email if you want. It's Lori@northgeorgiacottage.org.
Okay.
If somebody wants to reach out, I'd be happy to guide them and answer any questions.
I have a quick question. This is Carrie.
I was going to read your question, but
Oh, okay. Well, I can just say it. Do you have any recommendations for talking to a kid who might already be anxious in general?
Yeah. So like, about like talking about specific about anxiety?
No, about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think all these resources are good. Or do you, I think also just, being open and honest and talking to kids. I really like these books because it really normalizes it. So it gives parents an easy way to, who someone doesn't talk about this every day like I do, to just to read these books. A lot of these books also have questions in the back that are divided by the age, so you can ask specific questions and just kind of have an easy conversation, and it's all there for you to, and you don't have to do much thinking behind it. There's also on YouTube, since I do telemental health now, I have found on YouTube, a lot of these resources are on YouTube. So you can play the read aloud book, just like, our children do on My Own and things like that, on YouTube about body safety, secrets, internet safety. There's also a lot of children's advocacy centers that put different little videos, and even older children making videos of how to talk about this, and just make it kind of normalizing how we talk about this and educate other kids.
Thanks.
Sure. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you so much, Lori. That was such good information. Sorry, y'all, my dog is being so needy right now and insisting on sitting in my lap. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we did record this meeting, y'all. So if there's anyone who couldn't attend but wants to listen to Lori's presentation and get some of this information, then we will post that recording. But I really appreciate you coming tonight, Lori. That was great.
Thanks, Lori.
I think that's it, y'all. I had, upcoming events. Everybody knows spring break is coming. We've got that teacher work day the Friday before. And our April PTO meeting will be the same. It'll be that third week in April, so towards the end of April. But if you need anything from the PTO, please feel free to email us. And thanks for coming tonight.
Bye.
Bye.